Welcome to the Town of Munster podcast, coming to you from the JED TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Now here's your host.
All right, welcome to the Town of Munster show. We have a lot of things to cover. This is we're here at the studios for WJOB 1230 AM and 104.7 FM. And we've been doing the Munster show here for a number of years. My name is David Nellens. I'm one of the counselors. I represent the 4th Ward, but truly I represent the whole town. And we have a number of announcements here. But the first one I want to bring everybody up that today is National Night Out Against Crime. And it's going to be held there at the Munster Community Pool at the south end of Community Park. And things really start at 4:30. There's a parade that'll come down Columbia Avenue and turn into the south end of the parking lot for the Munster High School and then end up at the park. And then real activities start at 5 p.m. We're going to have approximately 160 booths, stations, stops to go to. That counts all the food vendors, the schools. There's something for everyone is what I say. There's all kinds of different, the veterans will be there, the American Legion. If you want to just come and talk to someone, there's lots of people to talk to. They're having games at their different booths. They're having candies, giveaways. It's just quite an interesting thing. I really want to encourage everyone to come out. Sergeant Grice does a terrific job getting that all set up. And we have some fellas here that actually help him also. And we'll start off, we have Russ Kazar, and we have Bob Valois.
Yes.
And we have Mike Hawkins.
Morning.
The first two fellas are with Public Works, and they make things happen, the shaking and the rocking and the rolling, and they are involved with bringing things. And then Mike Hawkins, he has a very, very prominent job in the town. He is our representative to the Hammond Sanitary District. It's something that people don't usually talk about. It's not a conversation piece that when you flush your toilet, it goes to the Hammond Sanitary District. That's the short and simple of it, right? Right, Mike?
Dave.
And that's something we just don't talk about. We talk about traffic, we talk about roads, and that's something that we're going to talk about this morning. I've asked our Public Works fellas here, Russ and Bob, to come in. And let's talk about roads in Munster. What's going on? How come I can't get here to there? And I hear that you can't get across Broadmoor. Bob, what's the story?
Sure. So we have the CCMG 24-2 going on.
And what does that mean, CC?
Community Crossing Matching Grants.
So we get matching money.
Yes, we do. So we chose Oakwood, Cardinal, Heather, Broadmoor, and Woodlawn for 24-2. Currently, Cardinal, Heather, and Oakwood are, I would say, about 90% complete. There's some restoration that needs to go on there. And then also Broadmoor and Woodlawn, they just started. We started replacing the water main and upgrading the water main. We went from a 6-inch water main to an 8-inch water main. And then we're going to replace the combined sewers.
So let's just ask real quick. When you increase the water main from 6 to 8, what does that do for us? How does that help us?
Well, it's better water quality and also flow-wise.
More flow,
Yes,
water?
More flow.
So we won't be starving out when everybody puts their lawn sprinklers on?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Or flushes their toilet. All righty. Not to interrupt you, but... And then you said you're doing combined sewers?
Yes. Also, we're changing the sanitary and the storm that are combined. They all go to Hammond Sanitary District, and we are switching those over to their own separate systems.
And if I recall, Mike, in those combined sewers, at low flow, they continue and go on to Hammond Sanitary. But in a high flow, do they still spill over and end up in the river?
No, they still go to the Hammond Sanitary, but by the town taking these sewers and separating them from one system to separate systems, the sanitary flow, the flow out of your house, ends up only going to the Hammond Sanitary District. And during storm situations, when there's more demand, that flow won't go there. So it'll be better for everybody.
So
Sure, they call that infiltration.
Infiltration,
Yes.
right. The storm water is supposed to be pumped into the river.
It's supposed to go to your rivers and your streams.
And it's relatively clean.
Yes, it is clean.
It's not co-mixed with sanitary.
No, not at all.
So the toilet flushes don't go in the river when it's separated, and it goes up to the Hammond Sanitary District.
And the toilet flushes never go into the river.
Never go into the river. The only thing going to the river is the rainwater.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
All right, so Broadmoor.
Broadmoor, we are currently doing the water main there. It has to pass consecutive samples, back-T samples, before we can make the tie-ins, transfer to water services, and then after that is complete, which should be sometime this week, we will start working on Woodlawn's water main. So you will see more movement out there with water main being installed and storm sewers.
Now, the reason for working on the water mains are, why are we working on them?
Because our infrastructure is very old, and we're replacing old pipes and putting in new. So yes.
And is that where they get the breaks when we hear that, oh, there's a water main break on Woodlawn or Broadmoor and the water's shooting up out of the
ground? The water's
ground?
shooting out of the ground, yes, sir. That's where we chose those, because if you're going to replace the road, you might as well replace the infrastructure beneath it, so you don't blow up a new road. So that's why we chose doing the water infrastructure as well.
All right. Well, that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
It means we do a little less roads because we're spending additional dollars on that section of the road we're doing by changing the water mains and sewers, if necessary, separating them.
That money does not come out of the community crossing matching grants. The infrastructure upgrades.
That comes from
the town.
The town and
the water.
And is some of that bond issue money?
We have a water bond we're currently going for to do more infrastructure upgrades. So yes, we are applying for that.
Right. So on the roads, the 50/50 grant refers to the paving of the asphalt.
Yes.
And then the infrastructure is then being paid by the town of Munster.
Sure. Yep.
Which again still limits us how many linear miles we can do because of the higher price per mile, half-mile block, that because we're spending, but it's going to save us in the long run and interruptions, because when a water main breaks, you have to shut the water off.
You have to isolate the water and shut it down so you can make the repairs.
And sometimes it's way more than just that block or that little section.
Absolutely. Our water team does a fantastic job on fixing them live sometimes. So, and it's not always sometimes you have no choice. But yes.
Yeah, because you can't get to it. And then typically you're putting on a clamp. It's a big stainless steel clamp.
Stainless steel clamp over a hole or a crack.
And it goes
over, you bolt it on, and you're done.
And you're done. Except for now you got to fill it back in.
Yes.
Restoration, take care of everything. I know in the one you did over there off of Castle, you put new valves in it at both ends.
We did. We're very blessed to have a valve insertion machine, and we have installed 3 valve insertions within the last several months, actually.
So explain that a little bit in a simple term.
So we can go in, and if there's not a valve or we're having issues with a water main, for instance, the Broadmoor project, we could not get a good shutdown on the existing water main. Now we go in, we install the valve, and 8-inch water main, or an 8-inch valve on what road is that over there behind Target there?
Oh.
That's,
yeah.
Yep, I threw you on the spot. But anyways, we installed the 8-inch valve over there, and now we're able to shut down that Broadmoor intersection. Euclid, you're correct. So now we can shut down.
That just popped into my head, Euclid.
And you are correct. We can shut down Broadmoor and Euclid now, so we can cut and cap the old main and install the new main. So with us being able to do that, we save thousands of dollars just doing that in-house.
Now, are you limited on the size pipe?
We can do 6 to 12-inch pipes.
Wow, that's a big range.
Yes.
That's because sometimes equipment's only good for 6.
Right.
Or 8.
Right. Yep.
So 6 to 12.
6 to 12.
That's good. That's handy.
It is very handy.
How long have we had that?
Year and a half, maybe.
Okay, so it's new.
It's relatively new, yes.
Well, great. And the fellas, they understand how to operate it, I'm sure.
Oh, yes,
Absolutely,
they do.
yes.
They do a great job.
All right. How about any other streets we have we're working on?
We're going to start doing Harrison. We're going to have that paved probably. You should see some movement over there in the end of the month, early September. We're going to start there soon. That is getting repaved from Fisher to Ridge.
All righty, Bob. I know we talked a little bit about the train. I'm going to jump to that, make sure we get that in. The train.
The train. I spoke with Nick D. They're still shooting for the end of the year deadline. They want to be operational by the end of the year and have commuters on it by the end of the year. They're currently going through and replacing railroad ties, and they have, I think you said they have 3 crews, Dave? Is that correct?
I believe they have 3 crews.
And they're working 712s replacing the railroad ties.
They got to do some adjustments. It wasn't whatever. They're working on that. I didn't get to see the actual unit. I saw pictures of it. They had a segment train. They had a locomotive engine on each end because they wanted the weight, and then they had a commuter car in the middle, and they were going up and down the line checking for clearances.
Yes.
Like when they come to the platforms at the stations, that the car matched up right. And again, because the line's not energized, you could not use an electric unit, so they brought in the big diesels, and they were running those. Again, for, as I said, you want the extra weight on the tracks and the rails to make sure things are in the right situation. Also, the commuter car to check for clearances, and that's why there was the diesel locomotives. Not that they're going to be there, but they're there for now for testing, and I know they have some cars that they use for stringing up the wire, and a lot of specialized equipment in there. It's quite an operation.
It is.
I know we've all seen it going, and it's going to be something that once it's running, it'll be quite an operation. I drove up last night to see the Hammond station because I wanted to know exactly where it was, and that's got a huge parking lot, and they've got a lot that goes with it. So when folks see that, they'll know that things are happening. And again, just to remind everyone, I believe we have signs up at both crossing areas. Do not stop on the tracks.
Do not stop on the tracks.
You need to stop short and stay back away from the tracks and the gates for the safety. One of the things that I've always somewhat amused at, they say, well, the train hit the car, in inferencing that the train went out of its way and hit that car, when in fact the car was within the space that the train has to run.
Yes, the train's not going to make a turn.
No, it's trapped on those rails until it falls over, but it's trapped on the rails. So, but a lot of people are excited about the train coming, and there's been a lot of extra building there in community estates and Westlakes because of the train because of the train coming to Munster and folks having the access to Chicago, and which means it brings more people and more toilets and more flushing. So I'm looking at Mike Hawkins here because I invited Mike. Mike has been our representative to the Hammond Sanitary District for the last 12 years or thereabouts.
Yes, sir.
And there are 5 voting members at the Hammond Sanitary District, and we have one of them. And Mike Hawkins is our representative, and he does an outstanding job. I have to say that. Everybody I have here on the show are professionals and do outstanding jobs, and Mike has an upward hill job working with the board, but he does a terrific job. And those that have seen him when he stands up, Mike is tall. And I say that because I'm a little height challenged, and Mike can just handle it. So, Mike, what do you do with the sanitary district? How do you help us?
Well, I have to make more noise because I'm only 1 out of 5. And I have to be more imposing and taller because I'm 1 out of 5. But seriously, Munster has been a member of the Hammond Sanitary District since 1948, a long time. And being a member or being admitted to the district has responsibilities. On your water bill, you pay a fee to the Hammond Sanitary District.
We do. That's gone up and up and up.
Well, not since 2017. In 2017, the Hammond Sanitary District proposed a 149% fee increase. Well, Munster and Mike Hawkins says that seems excessive. And with working through the town council and Hammond Sanitary District, we got it knocked down to 49%. And it's not been raised since then. Will it get raised someday? Well, unfortunately but realistically, everything has to raise. So sooner or later it will. But Munster is a good partner or a good member of the Hammond Sanitary District. So what does it mean for Munster to be in the Hammond Sanitary District? Well, when you flush your toilet, when you drain your sink water, anything that comes out of your house or business, it goes down through a series of pipes out of your house or out of your residence, generally to the street. So underneath Bob's streets, there's a bunch of sewers. Mm-hmm. And there are lateral sewers, which are just sewers that go around your neighborhoods and such. But the lateral sewers empty into lift stations or pump stations. And around town we have several. The biggest one I can think of that might be the most visible is at the south end of the football field by Munster High School. It's the Dyer Road lift station. There's also one very visible at 45th and Calumet.
And that's at Fisher and Columbia.
Yeah. And
even though it's called the Dyer Road.
Yes, and God knows why it's Dyer Road because we don't know. But sometime back, somebody named it that, probably Fred Dyer or something. But all the lateral sewers, all that flow, goes into lift stations, which just generally lift the water up and pump it to remove it from town. And it winds its way through town and pushed by these lift stations, which are just pumps. And it's sent down to the wastewater treatment plant on the 5100 block of Columbia in Hammond. There's a big wastewater treatment plant where all the flow is filtered and Dave Nellens likes to say polished, etc. And it ends up in the Little Calumet River in North Hammond. It's a big plant, a big operation. And Dave, you've stood on the outfall of that river.
Oh, I have.
How does the water come out?
Flows out of the pipe.
Does it look clean?
It looks pretty clear.
Does it look as clear as that jar of water there on your desk?
Well, we thought that was vodka. Well, that's pretty clear, although I do see a little something swirling at the bottom, but...
Would you like to take a drink? You seem parched, Dave. Well, seriously, the water...
I don't know.
Seriously, the water coming out of the outfall is clear and clean looking. And years ago, when I was a kid...
Hey, Mike's got 3 cups here.
Only 3.
Only 3. So would you fellas like to have a slug?
No, you guys go ahead.
I'll pass.
I'm good. I brought my own.
But seriously, many years ago when I was a kid and lived up in North Hammond, when you walked across the Grand Calumet River where the flow from the Hammond
Yes,
Sanitary
Grand
District
Calumet.
flows, it stunk.
Yes.
It was horrible looking. It was brown. It was everything. Well, since I was a kid, which was only a couple of decades ago, of course, there's been a lot of work done by the sanitary district and different industries, etc. And water has cleaned up tremendously. If you go down that river now, it's clean, it's clear, it flows, and in part due to the Hammond Sanitary District and East Chicago Sanitary District and industry. And the water comes out of the sanitary district clear and clean. As clean as that, almost.
Almost.
But, and Munster's a part of it. We help fund that. We help fund it through the rates that people pay through their water bill and through bond issues for capital projects.
So on that water bill, we not only pay for water coming in, but we pay for water leaving the community.
Going out.
Going out is based on each household's volume that comes off the water meters.
Yes, and there's an adjustment for summer when you water your lawn. You shouldn't have to pay for that. So the Hammond flow fee is adjusted for that. Munster does that, so you don't pay for watering, because that water doesn't go down the sewer.
Yes, it's true, but I don't know how much that adjustment. It's an adjustment. I don't know how much it is.
It's considerable. There's a calculation factor. Trish Abbott and the people in the clerk treasurer's office do, and they average out your bill during non-watering months, months not the summer, and you don't pay for that flow.
The additional flow.
The additional flow.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And Bob here was talking about separations of the sanitary and the stormwater, which also then means we're not sending all that volume up to Hammond. And again, the federal government's looking over the shoulder to make sure this water is treated and handled properly.
Right, because we don't want to send rainwater, the stormwater, to Hammond to get treated. It should not need that. And it's more expenses on the town of Munster.
Absolutely, and those expenses eventually come back to the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So, well, Mike, I know they've got a number of projects they're working on up there at the Hammond Sanitary.
Yes. Across the street from the Hammond Sanitary District wastewater treatment plant, there's a large basin. It holds 33 million gallons of water. And that was installed several years ago, about the time of the last rate increase. They needed money to pay for, to help pay for that. And that basin is designed so water doesn't go, say during storm situations, into the river. That water there is partially treated, and during storm situations, if they have to exit water that's not exactly treated in a wastewater treatment plant, they can. And the federal government is very pleased by that. It was an expensive project. It was a $55 million bond issue.
I'm sure they had to acquire the land and then put this hole in. They have a liner.
It's a big deal, but it works. It works. It prevents the sanitary district from overflowing in the river, which we all want. We want clean water, and that's what we demand in our times now. And that's what the district does with Munster as a partner.
All righty, so that's just the overview and a number of items here. And again, I really appreciate these fellas coming in. I want to say that now, and I'll say it at the end. Bob, in summing up with the roads, what's your overall philosophy?
Well, we base our roads off of the PASER rating that we do, which is a study, and it determines which roads are the worst and need replaced sooner than others. Also, we look at the infrastructures and the water mains, and if there is separated sewers, we want to attack those projects
early on,
get those over with and done. But yeah, other than that, that's about it. Just the PASER rating and how old the infrastructure is.
And then Russ, you dispatch the fellas and ladies to do work and handle problems and situations.
Yep, all the projects day to day, and our guys do a really fantastic job. We just got done with Camellia. We started it on a Monday, and time we did the restorations, and we removed the speed hump or the crosswalks, and then we had the curbs poured, and then we had asphalt put in, and then the restoration. It was 5 days.
It was 4 days.
It was 4 days.
It should have been 3 days.
Yeah.
We were waiting on a contractor, but that's okay.
Okay.
We did
They did a fantastic job. Yes. But yeah, so we're taking on bigger projects nowadays. We got good crews, and we can handle it.
And you got the equipment. We have the council meeting last night. They approved a bigger, better chipper.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. It's out on the road today, Dave.
Wanted to ask, do you have a truck that'll pull that chipper?
It's already out there. Yes, sir.
Well, that's good. That's what we like to do: keep equipment going and meet the needs of the residents so that they can handle that. And we got Mike Hawkins up there on the sanitary board. From time to time, one of us will try to attend up there. I need to get back on the list to come up there. I used to be quite a regular, knew everything that was going on, which is a good opportunity to learn. And Bob mentioned he's going to be heading up there, and it's good to know those fellas that are running the district up there in case there's a problem. Or, we're not adversarials, we're teammates, partners.
We're married.
Oh, we are definitely
married.
Yes, we're
I don't know about married. Sometimes that can be kind of bumpy. But no, it's a good thing, and I wanted to have these fellas here, and for the folks that in the town and around us knows who's doing what and why. And I think it's just a good thing to have this discussion. We talked about the train.
Yep.
It's there. It's coming. As with all big projects, there may be a few bumps in the road, and they're working those out. And they're going to run the train a number of times before it is actually set up for actual revenue.
Right.
Because they want to make sure it's safe, that everything's been done right. There isn't some pocket that's going to settle down and then the tracks are going to go like this. Again, we have some water up here if you fellas would like some. It's kind of in your mind, I don't know. But Mike is right. That water is clear. That water goes out in the Grand Calumet, which flows back out to the lake, which flows to the cribs where it's drawn back in to the residents. And I think the discussion is that this water leaves a lot cleaner than what it is when it goes in.
Absolutely.
As evidenced by the outfall, there's actually wildlife that congregates now, and decades ago that wasn't the case.
So absolutely. Well, this is bringing up, the time already that is bringing up another show for the town of Munster, and I think this was a great show. I appreciate you fellas being here.
Thank you.
And having the discussion of what's going on, and maybe this helps our residents understand a little bit why you just can't scrape it off, pave it the same day. We have things to do underneath it, and it makes sense that when it's open, change those pipes out rather than pave it and then we cut it open and change the pipe. And then people say, well, wait a minute, they just paved that street. Now they're tearing it open. So we want to avoid that. And we don't want to send any extra water up to the Hammond Sanitary District because you're processing water that really doesn't need it in the first place, but once it gets down in that sewer and it's commingled, it's dirty. And now it's got to be cleaned up. So with that, I want to say I thank you fellas again. Here we are at WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM. It's a great studio. They got comfortable chairs and things are going well. So that's a wrap for the Town of Munster show. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Town of Munster podcasts coming to you from the JED TV studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest in Hammond, Indiana. Thank you for listening.